Friends, today's NRI Samai program from Los Angeles brought to you commercial free by listeners like you. Your generous donations make possible for us to stay commercial free, and today's show is pre-recorded. If you have a question for the guest, please send an email to nrisamai@gmail.com. We will follow up with the guest and find the answer for you. Thank you for your support.
Let me interrupt you for a brief moment here.
Yeah.
Chief Minister of Chhattisgargh, especially the second Chief Minister Raman Singh, it is his 12th year.
Right.
He has repeatedly said it inside the assembly and outside to open media, on camera, on record.
Yeah.
That I invite Naxals to come to negotiation table and tell us their agenda, their demands, how we could negotiate. We want a peace in the area. And I was present in one of his announcements where he had said it may not have a literal obligation to fulfill that, but he had said, Aadhi raat ko bhi, even if in the middle of the night they would call me in the middle of the jungle to come for negotiation, I am prepared to go there all alone. This is what he had said on record.
Right.
He may not mean every word of that in literal sense, but this was the spirit he had exhibited.
Right.
So what I'm trying to understand is how to break this circle, because you see, I hope you believe in democracy, and so do I.
Of course, yes.
So let me understand from your point of view how to break this circle which you are mentioning again and again, because Chief Minister had offered negotiation. He had offered come to negotiation table, and if you remember, one collector was kidnapped in Bastar, and there was a negotiation table. People sat around that for months together, and they had done so many things. They had taken so many decisions. I keep asking this thing from the government also, that why that peace process, why that negotiation, even if that had a very limited agenda, why that could not be extended by political forces, peace forces, people like you and me who have some connections on either this side or that side, to break this circle. Because you see, the ultimate victim is tribal, innocent tribal.
Yeah.
I mean, more tribals are getting killed than Naxals and security forces together.
Yes.
I mean, Naxals and security forces, they are not being raped.
Yeah.
If anybody is getting raped by either of the two sides, it is the innocent tribal girls and women.
Right.
So how to break this circle? Give me a solution.
Well, 2-3 things come to my mind. One is one point is that we need to redefine security, because the state is doing what it is doing. It is taking, it calls it the security-centric view. Huh?
Yeah.
Now that security, it is basically seeing the Maoists as a threat to the Indian nation, etc., etc. And therefore it is, that their one thing is that we have to wipe them out.
Yeah.
Now, that is one. Now, first of all, I would like to say that, okay, even as far as the wiping, in quote, wiping out is concerned, or as the IG here says about sanitizing the area, that is another word that they use.
Yeah.
I feel that whatever the state does, state is bound by the rule of law.
That's right.
So whatever it does, first of all, it has to really restrict itself within the framework of the law.
Very
that
correct.
Is one. And as citizens, one would expect it to do that. If we allow it to step beyond it, as a, at a very kind of a lay person kind of a thing, when people say that, oh, they do it, Maoists do it, so why can't our forces do it? We can't allow that at all.
Government cannot have this exemption to break law. Nobody can justify that.
Exactly.
An elected democratic government has a certain obligations.
Exactly.
And the first obligation is that it is answerable to rule of law.
Right. So therefore, I think one thing is that all its actions have to be, within that framework.
Yeah.
And it has to, respect the rule of law, and it has to be transparent also about what it is doing.
Okay.
Because like during that Salva Judum time, for example, we saw, thousands of houses being burnt, for example. This is
Let
just
us
one
let us
example.
treat the Salwa Judum as a history, which we
Okay.
have described enough, and we know, and it is well documented in Supreme Court and outside.
Right.
So we are trying to break a circle. We are
Yeah.
discussing this to break a circle. So let us
Right.
discuss that.
Okay. So and I was just wanting to give an example.
Yeah.
That, you know, during my research, I tried to find out whether there was a written kind of a order about burning of houses. So even I had also interviewed the Naga IRB, and Naga IRB meaning Indian Reserve Battalion from Nagaland. But where, I could not find a written order.
No, I am not aware of existence of any such document.
Exactly.
And my simple rationale and logic would say that there cannot be any such written order.
Exactly. So therefore, the point is that there is a lot that is happening which is oral in nature.
That's right.
And which is where, the ordinary Indian citizen cannot hold the government accountable.
Yeah.
So, for example, budgeting, and so there are many examples of this kind, but we are not going to go into all of them.
Yeah.
But the point is that first of all, let's all agree that the government should stick to the rule of law.
That's right.
That is one. Number two is that if we look at the origin of the movement, and as I pointed out earlier, that it was primarily because there were certain laws that were made which were not implemented.
Yeah.
And the implementation of those laws was crucial to the, well-being of the citizen.
That's right.
And not only just well-being in a superficial way, but well-being in a basic way, for the basic survival.
Yeah.
So in the context of the Adivasi of Bastar or the tribal of Bastar, that basic survival rests in their, control over their lands, control over their forests, control over their water, over their mineral resources, and so on.
Yeah.
Of course, education, health, roads, electricity, mobile towers, all these are also important.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would not say that, the tribal should be just kept in the jungle.
That's right.
I mean, I don't go for, I think it is their choice.
Not like museum pieces.
Yeah, how to develop themselves, and that, development as we know it should also come to them, and it is their choice what to take, what not to take.
That's right.
And we have to respect that choice and so on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the basic point being that the main, because see, right now what we are seeing in Bastar is that in some of these other ways, that is like roads being built, electricity being extended, schools, etc. In some of these ways, the government has made some headway in the last 10 years.
That's right.
But at the same time, like PDS is another example.
Yeah.
That is public distribution system.
Yeah.
So cheap food grain through the public distribution system.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the government is not respecting its own laws, which I have pointed out earlier, the basic laws, which ensure, people's control over their natural resources. And that is very, very important. So, because otherwise the government keeps saying that the government is for development, but the Maoist is anti-development, But the point is that we need to define what is development.
Yeah.
And the Adivasi has right to say what is development for him or her.
So you mean to say a more honest implementation of laws related to tribals and their areas?
Very much. That is one. And especially the ones which are, which cause fear in their hearts, no?
Yeah.
So for example, this whole thing that whatever is happening is because the government wants their land.
Yeah.
For mining purposes.
But let me tell you, Bela, one thing, because it is very much in news and in allegations since ages that Salwa Judum took place because the government wanted to vacate those villages to give that for mining and industrial purposes to some industry, one or other.
Right.
But only recently we have seen, only a few months back, government has cancelled the lease given to Tata.
Right.
And SR could not fast forward in any manner. The SR steel plant are there mining.
Yes.
is not making any movement ahead in any manner.
Right.
So government doesn't look like in a hurry to oblige industrial sectors in Bastar, especially the area which we are discussing. It has actually cancelled the lease given to Tata.
Yeah, only the thing is that the cancellation of the lease has come after a lot of resistance on the ground by the CPI.
Do you really think government would listen to such resistance? I mean, you must be kidding if you think that government would take such a drastic economic or industrial action
Right.
based on people's resistance, which is not even visible in capital.
Yes. You're very right, because after all, the government did everything that it could, and we have been witness to that in Bastar.
Yeah.
In 2007, 8, 9,
Yeah.
when in Lohandiguda, where the
Yeah.
Tata Steel you're talking about, where the government was trying to take land from 10 panchayats.
But let us come down to certain things you are suggesting to break this circle. I'm derailing this argument or discussion. It should not be an argument. I'm just raising a query.
Right. Yeah.
You tell me more things. What you would suggest to break this circle?
No, so see, the point is that it is true that as far as some of the plans may have gone, as per their planning, some may not have. But the government planning, like in Tata Steel, I think they caused havoc in the area. Like 75% people's land has been taken, and there was a lot of repression in the area, etc. Now they have cancelled the lease. Now it's again creating problems. That what will happen now? Some people have taken compensation, etc., etc. So all these problems need to be resolved. But basically, I think the point that I was trying to make was that the mineral policy, is contentious.
Yeah.
And that is a policy that applies to, the tribal areas in the country as a whole.
Yeah.
Because, mostly it is in their areas that the minerals lie.
Yeah.
So there is no hurry. There should not be any hurry. I think, that the government should really sort of bulldoze into trying to implement that policy. I think we should democratically try to resolve that.
Next point in your list of suggestions.
Yes. So therefore, I feel that government should not bulldoze and go ahead with it. Government should stop. Government should, listen to the people.
Yeah.
Find out what people have to say. This is a resource underneath their land. What percentage of it is going to them, etc., etc. So, there are many aspects to this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and this is a resource, which we don't want to, in any case, sort of exhaust too soon. So therefore,
I mean, government is selling its silver for peanuts.
Yes.
Doling it out to select people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think that is one thing that that can be, and strengthening the self-governance aspect through PESA.
Yeah.
Sath mein, along with that, all what like things like health and all that is very important also.
Yeah, but the government claims that wherever they are making some headway in Naxal captured areas, development is taking place. Ration is subsidized food grain is reaching to areas wherever they can reclaim their control.
Right.
Health services are reaching where they are gaining back control. And recently, Chief Minister made a visit to Abujmar in Bastar in his Lok Suraj Abhiyan.
Right.
And he told us in Raipur that he could travel a new road where landmines were there every step.
Right.
So they are making development possible when they are recapturing the areas where they had lost control.
Right.
So this is one situation where government says that if we would gain back control, we would make a fast and quick development. This is what you are also demanding by saying that education, health and food should be provided.
No, what I'm saying is that has to be in any case provided for the entire area.
Yeah.
Because not the Maoists are not in the control of the entire area.
That's right.
While the government is lagging behind
Hmm.
in these respects in the other places as well. No?
Hmm.
So, for example, if you look at the Human Development Index, I think
Hmm.
the lowest, is like in that the place which is worse off is this place called Bastanar.
Hmm.
Now, Bastanar is, and this is in the country as a whole. Huh?
Hmm.
Now, Bastanar is in Bastar district,
Yeah.
where Jagdalpur is part of. And Bastanar there are no Maoists there. There's
Yeah.
been no Maoist movement there in
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
In Bastar district as a whole, Maoists are very weak.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that in Bastar as a whole, I mean, this is just one district of 7 districts in the Bastar region, as you know.
Yeah.
But in Bastar also, we find as far as these other amenities are concerned, the government has to continue to work on them.
That's right. There
Yeah.
cannot be any justification for their ineffectiveness, or they're not implementing the government welfare schemes in the areas where there is no Naxal presence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that is one.
Your point is well taken. Let us move over to the next suggestion.
Right. Now, the other thing that I want to say is that politically, if the government is against an armed movement, then government should, support or encourage unarmed movements.
That's right.
Isn't it?
That's right.
But
I mean,
what we find is
peaceful democratic movements everywhere should be welcomed.
And government should respect people's right to dissent.
That's right.
Through open and democratic means, through non-violent means.
Very correct.
This is like a logical kind of a thing.
I mean, that is the core. That is the core spirit of the entire democracy.
Exactly.
It doesn't even need to be a condition for peace or a suggestion for peace.
Right.
It should be an inbuilt core value.
Yes. Yes. Only what we find is that the government, not only in Bastar, but in the other tribal tracts of the country, I mean, like in neighboring Odisha, in Jharkhand, I mean, you can see this as in the country as a whole, that non-violent movements who are also raising the same issues are not, not listened to either.
But then by mentioning other states which are ruled by other parties, you are involving other parties into discussion. That is, there are several other parties who have a similar or same kind of attitude towards people's movement. Like you have mentioned Orissa, which is not ruled by BJP or Congress.
Right.
So you mean to say other political parties that they also have the similar attitude towards the tribal issues in their movements?
Yes, I am saying that as well as I'm saying that at the center, I mean the central government is there, so the central government can send a strong message in these matters.
Yeah.
But what we find is that I mean there can be so many examples that I can give you.
Yeah.
Where on assemblies of tribals who have organized themselves on completely non-violent way, whether it be Koilkaro in Jharkhand in 2001.
But Bela, let me remind you, it is not just a tribal. So it is a Dalit in Hyderabad University. It is non-Dalit, non-tribal in JNU. It is non-Hindu, non-Dalit, non-tribal in Kashmir. So many other places and so many other examples.
Very much. Yeah, I mean, I was only, because in the context of Bastar, I was talking about the other tribal areas.
Yeah.
So where I just want to say this very simple thing, that in other tribal areas with similar issues.
Yes, your point is very well taken. Let us give me another condition or dictate or
so there also the police has opened fire on these kind of assemblies, non-violent assemblies, like Kashipur, Koilkaro, Kalinganagar, etc. So that is the point that I was trying to make in that context.
That's right.
And in the context of Bastar itself, we find that on the one hand, the state has the state is fighting this battle with the Maoists. At the same time, the unarmed organizations led by the Adivasi Mahasabha, for example, the Communist Party of India here,
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
So they are also, labeled as Maoists.
Hmm.
There are so many people, who have been arrested.
Hmm.
They have been, under false charges. They have been, that kind of fabrication has happened. So in a sense, like within Bastar also, therefore, you see that there's been scant respect for non-violent struggles on similar issues.
But that has become a uniform thing all over the country for all democratic forces. Against all democratic forces or movements, it is happening everywhere.
Everywhere.
That is very, very general.
Yes.
So
it's worsening. In some ways, it is worsening.
Yes. So how could I treat is a precondition to break this circle of Naxals and government in Bastar? It is widely used everywhere.
Just because it is widely used.
I'm not justifying it. I'm trying to find a solution. Because you see, I have full faith that you have faith in democracy.
Yes.
So do I. And I wanted to find a solution at the end of this conversation.
Yes.
That is why I am asking you. You pinpoint things which are unique to Bastar situation. Because suppose I wanted to initiate a peace process by using somebody as a mediator.
Yeah.
So there has to be some conditions, and as an observer of this whole movement in these areas and governance in this country, and a social scientist and now activist, you have a huge understanding, an elephantine understanding of the whole complex situation. So tell me the next condition. What should be there? What government should be doing?
Well, I mean, I can only say that it should really try to fulfill the promises, of democracy.
That's right.
In an honest way. And, that and as far as the Maoists are concerned, it should have a political dialogue with the Maoists.
And what would be your message to Maoists if they would listen to this?
My message to them is that, we need to come out. We need to fight an open and democratic movement. There are very many important issues that, we have to, the citizens have to take up with the government. And I personally would feel that there is no need to, invest completely only, in an armed movement. And it is, at least to my mind, that investment should be there.
You are suggesting them an unarmed and a non-violent movement?
Yes. I feel that we need to wage open struggle, a very
because
strong.
You see, I'm asking this question because I want you to put it on record.
Yeah.
That where do you stand when it comes down to violent or non-violent movement? Your stand on that, because you see, you are being blamed by several forces in Bastar, even if it is a small or even if it is a police-sponsored movement. They had blamed you in writing that you are a pro-Naxal, you are a broker and agent of Naxals.
Yes.
So that is why I am asking you this question. This is not what I feel about you. I'm asking you this question because it was in news. Where do you stand on the question of violence and non-violence?
Well, I have, in all my life, and we have talked about it a little bit as part of this interview. My faith is in non-violent movements, and I believe in open and democratic forms of struggle.
Very good. Good to hear. You have made your stand very clear, and it is a reply to all those people who keep blaming you.
Yes. At the same time, to those people, what I would like them to understand is that they need to understand how violence happens or why violence happens.
Yeah.
Why do people take up arms?
Yeah.
And that is in response to the structural violence, the structural inequalities that exist in our system.
But your
So we
suggestion,
cannot shy away from that, and we
Yeah.
have to therefore take it head on.
yeah,
You see, so otherwise, in a very logical way, violence will happen. It may be under the name of Maoism. It may be under some other name.
yeah.
But violence happens when, in some ways, when people's backs are to the wall, and they find themselves in people.
Let me try to understand you a bit more clearly by asking you or putting my words into your mouth by saying this other side of the violence. You are in no way justifying the Naxal violence. Am I right?
I'm not justifying the kind of violence that is happening now.
Hmm.
But I would like to understand, and us to understand, that oppressed people can take recourse to violence, because the kind of oppression that they face, and we have seen that the world over, whether it be the struggles of the blacks and so on, everywhere we have seen that when a people are, face severe forms of oppression, they can break out. Violence is a response sometimes to that.
But Bela, tell me one thing.
But I just want to complete this.
Yeah,
that
please.
I feel that, as far as I am concerned, I feel that I can understand it as an individual response. So therefore, when a subjugated laborer, let us say he sees his own mother or somebody being raped in front of him, and these things have happened and continue to happen, I would understand, and I think it can happen to any of us. Even today, when I'm saying that I believe in nonviolence, I want to stick to nonviolence. Under some circumstances, I don't know what kind of circumstances, it is quite possible that I may lift a stone which is next to me and hit out. I may do something like that. It can happen to any of us. What we need to do is to minimize that in society, where people are not forced to do that. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, I can understand that sometimes there can be this kind of a response as a political response in an organized way, in an organized movement, or organized violence. That is something that I am not in favor of.
Bela, tell me one thing. If there is any violence by, let us say, security forces or police or government or democratic political forces, if there is any violence, do you think the legal remedies available to society are not enough?
See, the thing is, I think legal remedies should be enough, but only the thing is that law also doesn't treat all its citizens equally, especially in its implementation. Like, for example, when cases are pending in courts for years, then when there is no immediate justice, so then that same law becomes, or the same process becomes, a very unfair kind of a process.
But then it is equally unfair to every citizen. I don't think, except a select number of people who could afford very expensive lawyers or who could purchase the judicial process or influence it. Rest of the people, they are all on the same boat, no?
Yes, they are all in the same boat.
Yeah.
So that is why I think, in order to reduce, crime in general, as well as political violence, I think it is very important for law to function effectively.
Yeah.
And especially like through the courts, that is the judiciary to function effectively. That's very important.
Tell me one thing now. At the end of this interview, I would like to understand. As a social scientist, you had worked since ages. And you have a lot of academic achievements, good, excellent work. A social scientist turned activist, how do you see it? Is it any addition to your academic excellence, or it is the ultimate and logical end of your work, that just being a mere spectator social scientist is not enough and you have to be an activist? What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I see this as a whole. Uh, so, Ambedkar talked about, education, the need to be educated, to agitate, to organize. I mean, this is just to quote him.
Yeah.
So, in that context, I think one needs to. I mean, I consider myself a student. I mean, not in some a kind of a social scientist who has achieved, is somewhere up there or something like that. Not at all. I feel I'm learning all the time. I'm a student of society, and whatever I have learned about society, naturally I would like to share that with others. That may not be the ultimate truth or anything like that, but whatever one has learned. So researching, teaching, all that is part of that continuous learning and exchange of information, of understanding, and sort of engaging with the field of knowledge in some
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we live in a society where there are, practical problems. Um, they may not affect us
Yeah.
um, directly sometimes, um, but I think it is, if possible, or at least in my case, I feel it is very important for me to engage with these problems which are happening on an everyday level and which affect other lives.
So you cannot, you do not feel like remain confined to just a keyboard or pen and paper. You feel like participating in what you are watching and studying.
Yes, I think in my case, I mean, I do feel that as a need. I feel I need to do both.
And would it enhance your academics in some manner, or it would be a loss of pure academics?
I think it really depends on, how do we define the academia.
Mm.
Like now, since 2009, December 2009, when I resigned from this organization that I was part of in Delhi, CSDS.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, I've been an honorary professor in Tata Institute, and since then, I'm completely voluntary. Like, I'm completely on an honorary basis. So sometimes I think to myself that I'm in the People's University of Bastar.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So in a sense, it really depends on how we define, what is academics for ourselves. No? So it is true that I'm out of that way. In some ways, I'm out of the academia as it exists. And, I have no ambition at all of being that way part of it. I don't even feel the need to be either at a personal level or at the intellectual level to be that way part of that. I feel my needs get fulfilled by engaging with the realities of the people, as well as, to whatever extent possible, trying to understand the same issues or the same realities, also by using academic tools
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
understand, what is happening. And then, these tools allow me to understand better, perhaps record what is happening, contribute to writing history perhaps, and so on. So, I mean, to me, therefore, it is a kind of a whole.
Wonderful, wonderful to understand it. And Bela, one last question. It is a
Yeah.
bit personal, but you see, I'm really curious about it.
Yeah.
You are working in social sphere since ages, and as
Right.
I had mentioned, basically deprived communities, democratically deprived, economically deprived. You are working among them since ages. And your life partner, Jean Dreze, I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times and to read him many times.
Right.
So, how does it affect the life of a couple who are both separately involved at a distance in similar issues, struggles, deprivation, and it goes on and on? And how does it affect your relationship or your life as a family or as a couple?
Well, in the sense, the shared part of it is, of course, the most valuable part of the whole togetherness in some ways. Though, the fact that we have these shared values, and that we are engaged in similar kind of issues. So that is, I think, the strength, and it gives, at least it has given me strength. And the knowledge that my partner also has similar values and thinks in similar ways and has similar concerns and so on. So I think that is very valuable for me. As far as the other part, where as an individual, the fact that one may be in a relationship where you're together but actually you're that way single, or you're you're leading single lives in some ways, because we chose not to have a home together, and to allow us, and not to have children, and to allow us full time to continue our involvement with society. So of course it also takes its toll, because you don't get all the usual things that people. I mean, we have got some other things which continue to sort of bind us together. Which is the values that I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not asking. I'm not asking this question as a pity.
Yeah.
That I have sympathies that you are troubled, or you are missing something. I'm not even remotely suggesting that.
I understand that.
I'm just wondering about it, and I was expecting that you may decide to reply to this question, which would be a very interesting reply to everybody who knows you are, who understands what kind of a couple you people are.
Right. Yeah. No, I think all I like to say is that a couple should decide. I mean, often sometimes we don't have that clarity when we are beginning relationships and all that. But I think somewhere it is true. I mean, over the course of a relationship, you could have different needs. You could have whatever, and you can take restock of things. You can whatever. So in the sense, sometimes yes. I mean, in our case also, it's not as though it has not affected us adversely. I think sometimes it has affected us adversely. It has been sometimes difficult. It has been quite lonely sometimes, and one has suffered for that. But yet, I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's been a very long relationship. I mean, we met each other in 1987. Yeah. And we continue to have a very sort of solid friendship.
That is wonderful.
And I think that is, very valuable. But as I said, I think it really depends from couple to couple, and they have to, take stock of their own needs and decide for themselves, what they need, what will make them happy, and so on.
Yeah, it is really such a wonderful conversation I had with you. It started as an interview, and then I could not resist the temptation of adding some of my own observations or suggestions. And thank you very, very much for sparing so much of time, and especially the last question where you decided to come out so openly and beautifully about it. It is one of the best interviews I had in recent past.
Okay, thanks so much also, Sunil.
Friends, if you liked today's show, please go to youtube.com/NRI Samay and click on the subscribe button. You will get notified every time we publish a new show. And you can also like us on our social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Google+.